From heart-wrenching tragedies to beyond belief miracles, these are the NFL's most emotional moments.
Take advantage of my opportunity.
For Chris Henry.
You know what my baby girl for the whole time. I just want to...
In 2003, legendary quarterback Brett Favre's father, who had coached him as a teen, suffered a heart attack and passed away on a Sunday. Favre decided to play with a heavy heart the next day on Monday Night Football in a tribute game to his dad. Even though he was clearly overwhelmed with grief and sadness, Favre delivered an incredible performance with 4 touchdown passes and 311 yards in the first half alone. Years later, when paying tribute to his late father, he said, "This is way tougher than any 3rd and 15. I would not be here today without my father."
This is tougher than any 3rd and 15, I can assure you.
Favre really tugged at our heartstrings, but this next moment was sad on a whole other level. Chuck Hughes was a wide receiver and special teams player for the Detroit Lions. But sadly, he is the most famous for becoming the only player in NFL history to die on the field during a game. Hughes collapsed during a game in 1971 while playing against the Chicago Bears. The autopsy revealed he had a blocked artery that led to a fatal cardiac arrest. His limp body lay in the field as the medical team pumped his chest and worked tirelessly in vain to resuscitate him. Tension in the stadium grew as onlookers watched helplessly. A horrible event that NFL fans have never forgotten. Could you imagine? One day you are living your dream as an NFL football star, and before you know it, it's all gone. Next up, we have a young man who proved that bravery comes in small packages. Braylon Beam was a 6-year-old boy who was battling a brain tumor. He captured the hearts of many people with his Just Keep Dancing campaign to cope with his chemotherapy. The Carolina Panthers organization wanted to make his dream come true, so they signed him as an honorary coach during their FanFest practice. I don't know about you, but watching this sweet little boy smiling big while doing the stanky leg is choking me up. Braylon became an iconic Panthers fan who famously banged the keep pounding drum at games to get the team and the players fired up. Braylon is truly inspiring. We shouldn't take life for granted. Like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can live life to the fullest together. Cause even great football stars face tragedy when they are least expecting it. Sean Taylor was a rising star safety for the Washington Redskins until he tragically lost his life to a home invasion in 2007. In the next game against the Buffalo Bills, the Redskins wanted to pay homage to their fallen teammate, so they paid a heartfelt tribute by fielding only 10 players on defense, leaving Taylor's position vacant. You could feel the emptiness left on the field without Taylor's presence. But football is all about fighting, even during the hardest of times. And the Saints proved that. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina tragically hit the city of New Orleans. Their home stadium was destroyed and the Saints were forced to play their home games in Florida. But the Saints made a triumphant return to the Superdome the following season. Steve Gleason's blocked punt that led to a touchdown ignited a wave of joy and healing for the city. A moment that symbolized New Orleans' resilience. When a city comes together to rejoice, it is extremely uplifting. In 2011, Oakland came together when they lost their beloved owner. After the passing of Oakland Raiders owner Al Davis in October 2011, the team played a road game against the Houston Texans. They honored Davis by rocking a black decal with his initials on their helmets. And Al Davis must have been watching his Raiders from above because they sealed the win with a late interception in his honor. Head coach Hugh Jackson broke down in tears and the players dedicated the win to the iconic team owner. Al Davis was 82 years old when he passed. He had the privilege of living a full life. But up next, this safety was extremely young when he received some scary news. Kansas City Chiefs safety Eric Berry was diagnosed with cancer just before his 26th birthday. But Berry is a fighter, and only 10 months after his diagnosis, he returned to the field for the Chiefs.
What a scene here, Eric Berry.
Not only did he return, he recorded an interception against the Steelers, receiving a standing ovation and inspiring football fans that were facing cancer treatment themselves or loved someone diagnosed with the illness. Eric Berry is an American hero. But NFL players aren't the only heroes in the country, and clearly Pat McAfee realized that. During a halftime show honoring Veterans Day, the Indianapolis Colts surprised a military family. Army Sergeant Jeremy Eno was stationed in Afghanistan when his family's car broke down. Since the sergeant wasn't there to help, Colts punter Pat McAfee stepped in and brought them a new SUV.
So I went and bought you guys a brand new Toyota Highlander, okay?
He got help from the team's mascot to gift it to them in a dramatic and emotional manner. But McAfee isn't the only NFL legend that Colts fans get loud for. In 2012, Indianapolis Colts head coach Chuck Pagano had to leave his team to receive treatments for leukemia. But Pagano returned for the team's final game of the season, and the organization surprised him with an emotional tribute video highlighting his life and his battle. The fans responded with a booming ovation, and the whole team responded to the video and the return of their coach with a fiery and passionate performance, even though they already had a playoff spot wrapped up. While Pagano survived thanks to his cancer treatments, up next is a player that opened the NFL's eyes to the harsh conditions that players are expected to endure. Corey Stringer, an offensive lineman for the Minnesota Vikings, passed away due to heat stroke during the team's 2001 preseason training camp. Stringer was a big boy weighing in at around 330 pounds. He was also a Pro Bowl caliber player and a kind-hearted individual. His sudden death saddened football fans and forced the league to take heat exhaustion much more seriously moving forward. It's so difficult to make it into the NFL that players often feel pressure to conform once they do make it. But up next is a player who had other priorities. Pat Tillman stunned the sports world when he turned down a multi-million-dollar contract offer from the Arizona Cardinals and chose to enlist in the United States Army following the 9/11 terrorist attacks in 2001. It was a heroic move made by a player who clearly valued his country more than his wealth. Tragically, Tillman was fatally wounded by friendly fire in Afghanistan in 2004. The NFL honored his memory by retiring his jersey number, naming a plaza at their stadium after him, and supporting the Pat Tillman Foundation, which provides scholarships and opportunities to servicemen and women. Tillman's selflessness gives us faith in humanity. This next player had his career cut short due to a tragic life-changing injury. Sterling Sharpe, a 5-time Pro Bowl wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers, suffered a severe neck injury in 1994. He had a full-speed head-to-head collision with Atlanta Falcons safety Brad Edwards. Sharpe's playing career was finished, but he eventually recovered and became an NFL Network analyst. And Sharpe's dramatic injury caused the NFL to reconsider its rules regarding the allowance of head-to-head collisions. It's not surprising that these grueling injuries are so emotional to NFL fans. We feel so connected to our favorite stars. And NFL fans were stunned by a tragedy in 2012. We all know that the NFL is violent, but what some are unaware of is how retired players suffer horribly after a career of constant head trauma. Junior Seau opened fans' eyes up to those types of struggles when he took his own life in 2012. Subsequent examinations revealed that Seau had advanced CTE, a neurodegenerative disease linked to head trauma. Junior Seau was a beloved defensive player from his time with the Pats, and fans took the sudden news very seriously. After Seau's death, discussions about CTE were taken up much more seriously. Not much could be worse than Seau's outcome. But he will be remembered as a Patriots legend. And up next is another player who was expected to become a Pats legend in his own right, until our next moment at number 5 occurred. In 2001, Drew Bledsoe was locked into a very promising role. Bledsoe had earned the job as the New England Patriots starting quarterback. He was an up-and-coming star with Super Bowl aspirations because of a stacked Pats roster. But things didn't quite pan out the way Bledsoe hoped. He suffered a horrible concussion that caused internal bleeding. He was rolled out for the season, and a young man named Tom Brady stepped into the role and won a Super Bowl that same season. Brady went on to become the greatest quarterback of all time.
Coming back. Tom Brady's coming back.
And we just have to wonder what could have been had Bledsoe never suffered his career-altering injury. Bledsoe's injury sure changed his entire life in the blink of an eye. But it could have even been worse. Let's get into number 4. During a preseason game in 1978, Darryl Stingley was tackled by the Oakland Raiders' Jack Tatum in a manner that caused a devastating broken neck. At that time, such tackles were considered part of the game's physical nature. But when Stingley lay motionless on the field, the entire stadium's hearts sunk to their stomachs. And unfortunately, Stingley would never walk again after the collision. The NFL is so dangerous that we are often left with a broken heart. Another player that never reached his heights due to injury was Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer was a highly touted quarterback prodigy that the Bengals drafted with their first overall selection. But in the 2005 NFL playoffs, he suffered a devastating injury when Pittsburgh Steelers defensive tackle Kimo von Oelhoffen fell into his knee. Hopeful Bengals fans cringed watching the young man get carted off the field between the cracks of their fingers. The injury tore Palmer's ACL and MCL and dislocated his kneecap and forever changed the trajectory of Palmer's career. He did return and become a starter, but never quite reached the heights that Bengals fans were hoping for after the injury. Injuries aren't the only moments that cause heartbreak. Sometimes it's just devastating losses that cause emotions to flare. The Titans had a chance to earn Super Bowl glory in the year 2000. And every kid who plays football dreams of making the game-winning touchdown. Kevin Dyson had that chance. On the last play of the game, he caught a pass from Steve McNair and charged for the game-winning touchdown, but he was tackled ever so slightly short at the 1-yard line. And that was it. The Rams won and the Titans were left stunned. Speaking of being stunned, our final moment occurred recently and put the entire NFL on notice. In 2022, a frightening moment occurred during Monday Night Football. Bills safety Damar Hamlin came in to make a tackle, but suddenly dropped to the field. The impact of the hit caused the young man to go into cardiac arrest. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition and the game was halted early. Eventually, Hamlin made a full recovery, but the moments in between were some of the scariest in league memory. There you have it. Those were the most emotional moments in NFL history. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And click on one of the photos up on your screen to check out more of our NFL videos.